now listening to the Arsenal Therapy Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Arsenal Therapy Podcast. We are once again top of the Premier League, 5 points clear, and we have just overcome a very tricky, tough Brentford team. And it was a big night for Mikel Arteta. It showed rotation, trust, and the squad depth quality that Arsenal have right now. We had a lot of rusty players coming back. We had a very tough side that we were up against, but we've just had a hugely emotionally intense week. 3 very tough games, and Mikel Arteta was brave. He was bold in his selection. He chose to rotate. He went for Madueke. He went for Odegaard. He went for Martinelli. And on top of that, he brought Ben White into the team. So I'm going to have a look at why Arsenal's performance was so impressive, some of the moments that I didn't particularly like, but ultimately why this win was so important and why those minutes are going to be vital, because we saw some very, very good things from Arsenal. At times, it was a bit too end-to-end, but there were also times that we saw some of our most fluid football this season. We saw big moments, and in truth, this could have been much more than a 2-0 victory. If you look at the game itself, Arsenal's XG 1.72 compared to Brentford's 0.35. That, to me, shows a lack of, clinicalness in our final actions. At times we got to the final third and we were a bit too stuttery. We didn't quite execute, and we had 15 shots. We had 7 on target and 62% of the possession. This was a game that we were in control to a degree, but it wasn't the most dominant display in terms of technical level that we have seen from this Arsenal team. And a major part of that was the lack of cohesion between some of our players that haven't played a lot of football. And that's that's normal. That's something that we're going to see a lot more of when players have been out. The automatisms aren't there. That familiarity isn't quite in place. But the way Arsenal set up was to go out and dominate the game. We played against a very, very defensive Brentford team who played for moments in the game. They looked for set pieces. They looked for counter-attacks, both throw-ins, corners, and those long balls over the top to a couple of very pacey attackers. The big news going into this was Igor Thiago didn't play. He has scored 52% of Brentford's goals this season. So this was a big loss for them. However, you can see the dominance Arsenal set up with, and you can see the back 5 that Brentford came out with. It's a 5-3-2 at this point, and Arsenal, by contrast, are very much that 2-3 and then 5 attackers going forward. It was a front-footed performance from us, and it was one where we set our stall out early to really go at them. And that stall came from Ben White, from Noni Madueke, and from Martin Odegaard linking up in that side. We're going to have a look at some of their key actions because they were the biggest threats. And if you look at Arsenal, particularly in the first half an hour of the game, time and time again, it was Madueke and Ben White linking up together and causing Brentford havoc down that right-hand side. And we repeatedly got Noni Madueke into 1v1 positions with Ben White's overlapping and his underlapping. And we managed to get him isolated in those positions where he could go at his player. But we also created overloads with Ben White going round the outside where Arsenal were in very good positions. And let's start by looking at it kind of in chronological order. First one, 6 minutes, about to be 7 on the clock. Raya gets the ball, and it's Martin Odegaard dropping deep, as we know he likes to, gets the ball, looks up, and this is a position that we used to see time and time again. Ben White galloping down that right-hand side, gets the ball, looks up, and Ben White is so good at on the ball. Madueke goes behind his man, creates that bit of confusion, then pulls back out to the touchline, gets himself very wide, and Ben White pops into that left 8 position. This is something I've highlighted Jurriën Timber do this season, where he plays the ball out to Saka, but he brings himself infield and takes that man away. This allows isolation between the winger and the fullback, but it also creates a bit of space in between the fullback and the centre-backs. And if you look at it now, Madueke is able to stand up his man 1v1. Ben White's going into the box. Now he's got himself in behind his marker, and you can see Odegaard at the edge of the box. He's there to accept the pass if Madueke goes for it. But what you can also see is Calafiori drifting into that zone 14 position. And this is a big theme of Calafiori's game yesterday. He played a very, very chaos-creating, trouble-making, attacking role centrally, and it gave Arsenal a lot of central access threat. Here we go. Madueke gets around his man and Ben White has got behind his marker. He doesn't know where he is at this point, and White is in control of the situation. Madueke bang inside, and you can see Ben White here. This was where rustiness kicked in. White has actually got time to set himself, get that ball away, and either get a cross in or get a shot away. But it's just a bit of rustiness. He hasn't played all season. And here we go again. This is the goal. Odegaard once again involved, gets the ball, looks up, and it's Ben White again into that right eight position. And Noni Madueke is outside. Once again, Ben White has brought someone infield to look after him, and Madueke is in a position where he is 1v1. You can see the players coming across. Now White goes. You can see the player telling, pointing at Ben White's run. He's going around. There's an overlap coming, and it's a lovely bit of trickery from Madueke. Now, who is going to deal with these two? Ben White has the advantage. He's round his man. Here we go, head up. And we saw this a couple of years ago whenever he played that ball into Kai Havertz, and it went into the back of the net for Arsenal to go 2-1 up against Brentford very, very late in the game during our title charge. And in this position, it's a very similar, almost identical ball. And this is what Ben White is so good at. He gets around him so smoothly. And whenever he gets there, he's on to play that cross on the run. And you can see Mikel Merino, where I've paused this, across his man, and bang, into the back of the net. He heads it into a very dangerous area, down into the ground, and there is no hope for Kelleher to get to that ball. Kelleher actually had a very good game, but there was nothing he could have done about this goal. And Arsenal 1-0 up at a big moment in the game. Not long after this, again, it's Arsenal's right-hand side. This is 5 minutes after the goal. Long kick from Kelleher, and Mosquera comes forward. This was a theme against Bayern Munich, where Mosquera was really coming forward and being more aggressive. This time it's Martinelli, but you can see Martin Odegaard into that central area where he's looking to pick up the ball. It's Martinelli gets it, and he gets it, opens his body. And again, Madueke's peeling away to get himself into a position to go 1v1. Now, Ben White comes galloping. You can see him opening his legs. And again, you can see Odegaard taking up a position at the edge of the box. Ben White goes round him. And again, we've just seen Arsenal score from this position. Madueke's in a 2v1. But you can see now, skips past the first man. Second man is thinking, do I pick up Ben White? Do I go for Madueke? Kind of doesn't commit to either. And you can see him go left as if he's going to mark Ben White and close that ball down. It means a lazy leg is flung at Madueke, who gets around him, and he has to use physical strength to get back. Madueke gets the shot away. It's a decent shot, but it needs to be towards the corners. And when you look at it from this angle, he gets it. Now this is where the run happens. And you can see that there's two players thinking, which one do I deal with? And lovely feet here, get past him. And now this is where you want to see Madueke get that ball struck hard into one of the corners, probably near post, given where he is. But he is also rusty. He's someone that we want to see a bit of an improvement in his end product. But this is good play. Here we go again. It's Martinelli once again coming central. And we saw him yesterday playing a role very akin to what Trossard's been doing, where he gets the ball in more central areas, comes in field, and dribbles through the middle of the pitch. But again, you can see a very, very flat Brentford back five. Arsenal running through them in midfield because they have so many players back defensively. And once again, Arsenal have created that advantage on the right-hand side. Madueke's taken the fullback in field, making that run into the central area. It means Martinelli's in a position, open out his body, and here's Ben White. Now, I mentioned rustiness. This sums up the rustiness of Ben White because he takes a good touch, he's in a position, but he ends up just hitting it into the side net. But once again, it was Arsenal having that advantage on the right-hand side where we could take that touch and probably have more time than we did, get the ball wide, and really go beyond the man. White has got more time than he thought, but elected to kind of half shoot, half cross. I'm not sure what was going through his head. But again, it was a bit of rustiness in an otherwise phenomenal performance from Ben White. You can see here Martinelli into the center of the pitch, and he does very well to pop that ball out to Ben White. But on another day, that ends up going into a more dangerous area. You can see it here. Madueke is attacking the penalty spot now. he's in a position where if White gets his head up and puts it into a more dangerous area, he is going to attack that ball. But White kind of takes that extra touch. And again, it's just a bit of rustiness. Once again, Arsenal closing down Kelleher. And again, this time it's Hincapie comes forward, wins a very good header, front-footed, and Odegaard could have popped that ball into Declan Rice. Instead, into Mikel Merino, and he gets it, looks after it very well, into Declan Rice. Rice opens his body across the field, and again, here you see Ben White starting to make the run. And this is very clever. I paused it just here from Odegaard because when I start playing again, you're going to see a touch he takes infield. Odegaard takes this touch, and again, it shows his brain power because it allows Ben White to get up to speed. If he plays the pass now, the defender's on to leave Madueke and get in, and Brentford have cover. If the fullback leaves Madueke to go for Ben White, centre-back shuffles across, and Arsenal are closed out. Instead, Odegaard takes this little touch now infield, in he goes. Now White's gone round. He's got that space. He's got that advantage. So now when the left back goes, he's not really on. But again, a bit of rustiness from Ben White because actually, if you look back a second, right now, right before he crosses, Madueke is coming towards the ball. He's dropped off. It's just one of those. Control it. Don't maybe go for that first time. It's not really on. But again, rustiness in an otherwise phenomenal performance. And this continued down the right-hand side. The first half an hour, absolutely brilliant. Once again, it's Martinelli taking a quick free kick, Ben White, and it's Madueke peeling out to the touchline. He is a player that really likes to go wide. But you can see here, Madueke's facing up as man 1v1, and you can see the Brentford players coming back and pointing at who they need to pick up. Here we go. Ben White round his man again, and Madueke now, brilliant. But I mentioned Calafiori floating into zone 14. In this occasion, he gets right into the box, and Madueke plays that ball in. Whether it's going for Calafiori or Ben White, I don't know. I'm going to give Madueke the credit and say he saw Calafiori and he's playing that. But look at this. This is absolutely beautiful now. This should have resulted in a goal. But ball comes in. There you go. Little back hill. Now, Ben White, in a more confident form, probably shoots. We've seen him do that before. Ball comes back to him, and it goes to Martinelli, who hits it high and wide. This should have resulted in a better opportunity. But here we go. Madueke gets the ball, head up, and he plays the pass now. But again, you can see the fullback's looking at Ben White. He is fully focused on him. He doesn't know Calafiori's there. And you can see the panic creep in the minute he sees Calafiori. And suddenly Ben White is in space. The touch isn't great. It's bobbling as well. But Martinelli, when that ball comes to him, he has to hit the back of the net. You look at it here. This has to go on target. Yes, there's a bit of a bobble, but this is a very nice line to put it between. There's a big gap between the defenders, and Kelleher isn't really protected by his defense. You need to hit the target there. He gets the power, but absolutely no accuracy. And that was a bit of Arsenal's first half an hour. Lots and lots of chances, but I've shown 6 chances created down the right-hand side. And that's a big, big thing where you have that many chances in a game and you don't quite take it. But Brentford themselves did create a big moment in that period. And that was a huge save from David Raya, who tipped it under the bar, and he deserves a big shout out because he didn't have a lot of saves to make in this game, but when he was needed, he absolutely did. His distribution wasn't quite at its best. He had one throw that went straight to Brentford, sold Zubimendi short. He had a lot of clearances in this game, but it felt like one where Raya couldn't quite do his thing as he normally does. But you look at the game as a whole, and I've showed that the first half an hour, but in the first half, Arsenal were just much more dominant, created a lot of threat, particularly down that right-hand side. And look at the game as a whole. Very, very little Brentford threat. Even when Igor Thiago came on, who is a fantastic centre-forward, big, strong, pacey, very, very dangerous around the box, they weren't creating. And Calafiori managed to play through a yellow and had an absolutely stunning performance, made sure he didn't get booked, made sure he didn't miss the Villa game. He had 69 touches of the ball, won 9 duels, and really locked down that Arsenal left-hand side in a game where he was one of the only kind of ever-presence in a brand new back four. And he managed to create havoc in and around the box through rebounds. And his shots should have resulted in a goal. I'm going to show some examples of this because this was a game where Arsenal should have scored from a rebound. This one comes in cross again from Ben White, and it's Calafiori, edge of the box. I've mentioned him a number of times now, but look at this lovely little touch right in that zone 14, shoots on his right foot. And this is a brilliant save from Kelleher because this bounces right as his hand down very, very low. And it's Merino following in this time. Weirdly, Merino went down looking for a penalty. I haven't seen a replay of that suggests it was. Here we go. Kelleher out, and Merino is following up. Again, not long after that, a few minutes later, it's Saka to Odegaard. This is a lovely pass into Eze. And again, we saw this a few times from Odegaard. I think he was very good in patches. He was quieter in other parts of the game. But this was a very, very good game from a player that had just come back. This was his first 90, and I felt like he left everything on the pitch. But you could see his technical quality. Here we go. Off burst time from Eze into Merino. And look at the number of Brentford players around him. Look how deep, how tight they get. And look at the zones. But Merino just waits for the Brentford defender to jump. He waits for it. You can see the jump now. He's got that space, pushes the ball away rather than doing anything daft. And Declan Rice gets it. And again, look how many Brentford players are back in the box at this time. You've got 7 players inside the box. Someone closing down Declan Rice as well. Calafiori going around the outside. So a lot of the game to this point, he's created his threat in and around the edge of the box in very central zones, but he offered that overlap as well, that going round. And Rice has the option to play him in, but skips past him. And this is another brilliant shot. You see it, he opens his body, and this is on to hit. Everyone in the ground wanted him to hit it. And I was sitting just above this and thought that it was going to go into the back of the net. But bang. And again, rebound, Merino following up. And you can see this. Everyone again thought this was just going to see the net ripple. Mikel Merino running away, celebrating his second goal of the evening. He trips, he stutters, and he falls over. The ball goes out. But this was one that really should have resulted in a goal. You look at Rice now. This is a brilliant drop of the shoulder. Round he goes. Ball is absolutely on to hit. He's got space. It's a packed Brentford box, but there is space. He's got a clear side of goal. And again, it's down very low. You look at Kelleher, and this is good following up from Merino, but you see it right now. He kind of mixes his feet up, and I think he's expecting it to land onto his left, but he trips over. And then right at the end of the game, just before we got our second, the same thing happened. Some very nice build-up play between Merino, Ben White, out to Zubimendi, and here we go. This is brilliant. Zubimendi quickly plays that ball into Odegaard. This is a very nice pattern of play. He draws 2 defenders near him, 2 Brentford attackers near him, gets the ball. He's being closed down. Odegaard, lovely touch. Now look at this pass. Again, we are critical of Odegaard so often, but he's often criticized for playing sideways balls, playing easy passes, playing chip ones. This is a difficult pass, and I've mentioned Calafiori, the central access that he's created for Arsenal in this game. He comes forward, he's getting the ball in the middle of the park, and Odegaard sees it. This isn't an easy pass to play because the easy one is to take the extra touch and play that ball wide and whip it. Instead, he plays it straight through now. You can see it. It's almost a reverse type pass, and he gets it. You can see, again, the Brentford player jumps. This is what Arsenal read quite often. We waited for the jump. Comes forward, centre midfield, makes that jump, and into Calafiori. Once again, Arsenal are looking at making the pitch big. You can see Eze out on the right. You can see Mikel Merino coming into the centre, and Bukayo Saka, it's Victor Gyökeres, and Calafiori's charging forward. Saka on the right. Now's the point. Probably should play that pass out to Eze. That's the easier ball. But no, he's already got Joy skipping past the player. Ethan Pinnock comes out to close him down, straight round him, onto his right foot. This one, not as good of a shot, straight at the keeper. But again, it's Kelleher pushing it out, and Arsenal following up with rebounds. Saka is there, and he falls over. Mikel Merino stuttered and fell. Saka just falls backwards and completely misreads the situation. But that was on to hit, and that would have killed the game. And again, look how smooth Calafiori is in this position. You can see Gyökeres coming through the centre. Could he pop it in now? He delays it too long. Gyökeres stops. But now, again, dummies that he's going to shoot around his man, and then he goes onto his right foot. Probably should be picking out a corner there. He should probably be doing better. Gets it straight in, and you look at it now. Saka's completely off balance onto his right foot, takes it with his left, and he's fallen over. He's always off balance. And this is where I think Saka can improve and can get more goals. Salah scores these moments repeatedly. He really is ruthless with them. But Bukayo Saka needs to just get more goals from these situations. Those really easy goals that are just about balance, anticipation. But the good thing is, this is 2 league games in a row where he has been following up. The Bayern game was one of them. Then this game as well. Following up, looking for his opportunity, and coming there to try and kill the game. You see it now. He falls over, and that ball just trickles into Kelleher. Not good enough, but also one of those you have to look at the positives. And let's have a look at some the Saka's goal. Again, Calafiori, I've talked about him so much. 69 touches, 9 duels won, and just a stunning performance. Here he is back, wins the ball defensively, and it's Mikel Merino. Now look at Merino. Arsenal are 1-0 up. The extra time's just been announced. It's 6 minutes out of time, and Merino gets the ball. He's carrying it forward. Victor Gyökeres is drifting forward now. Arsenal have a different option. They're making Brentford think. It's a case of we've got a player on the pitch that wants to stretch. We've seen a couple of good moments from Gyökeres at this point. Merino gets it, and now it's Saka making that run in behind. And when I play this, you're about to see a big change in the body language of Victor Gyökeres and why he is a true 9 that is so useful to have in this team. In goes Saka. Good ball from Merino, but you can see the pace just drifting, and it doesn't quite keep up the same pace as when he hit it. Saka gets the ball, takes the touch out of his body. Now, this is where he could have passed that ball. Gyökeres, when I show it from a different angle, you will see that Saka is in a better position to pass it. Could have played it. Once again, could he pass it? It's not the best shot. It's a bad touch from Kelleher, and it's in the back of the net. 2-0, just over the line, and Arsenal seal the game. Big moment in the game. And this was a big 3 points for Arsenal. But going back, again, Calafiori won that ball. Look at Merino, straight off his heels. He's played 490s at 9 in the last 10 days. Now he gets it. Saka's running in through. And the minute this ball's played, you can see Gyökeres. Suddenly now, there he is. He's alive. And he's ready. Now, this is where I said about from a different angle, you'll be able to see the time Saka has. He could play that ball into Gyökeres. He doesn't. To slow touch, he cuts back on himself, and he doesn't get the pace in the ball. But I feel there's 2 passes on that he could give. But I'm not complaining about that. I want to see a more direct, more greedy Bukayo Saka, because I think he has these goals in him. And Mikel Merino as well. You look at the build-up to his goal and look at the number of passes. Look where it starts. It starts with Hincapie, and you can see the build-up. And there's a lot of passes involved. There's a lot of very good play, but it's a very clear channel of play down that right-hand side. Madueke into Ben White and in. And it's another header for Mikel Merino. You look at his 10 goals for Arsenal in the Premier League. 7 of them are headers. 1 of them left foot, 1 of them right foot. That right-footed goal came a long time ago now, but look at where they're all coming from. Mikel Merino is a clutch player that comes alive in and around the 6-yard box. He is coming up time and time again for Arsenal, and this was a stunning performance where he dropped deep, went behind when he needed to, really got between the centre-backs, and really strung together the Arsenal attack when we needed him. And that was a huge part of this performance. But again, we had new centre-backs on the pitch. And these 2, we saw Mosquera early on, highlighted a header that he won, being front-footed. Hincapie, after Mosquera went off, was just absolutely brilliant. He put a real shift in. It was probably his best true performance as a centre-back, because Brentford were more adventurous than a lot of teams, particularly against Tottenham. And it showed the quality that we've got. Mosquera's injury will hopefully be something mild, but Jurriën Timber, when he came on, was absolutely superb. And with that, you look at Coyote. He was a player that posed huge threat every time Brentford got a long throw. That was something that we didn't want to face. We didn't like facing it, but we dealt with it very, very well. And huge credit has to go to Hincapie because he was very, very aggressive with his heading, and he was committed, he was quick, and he was smooth on the ball in every action. But finally, just before I finish, the one player that once again deserves a huge shout out is Declan Rice. And you look at some of his moments in the game, particularly his link up with some other players. Here we go. Again, it's Ben White, Noni Madueke. Madueke goes for the back heel. It doesn't come off, but straight in, wins that ball back. That's what Mikel Arteta wants to see. It didn't come off. He's fine with that, but you win the ball back. Ben White. Here we see Martin Odegaard gets the ball, coming infield, and at times this was a bit of a theme where a few players maybe stood on each other's toes. We saw it a bit when Saka came on with him and Odegaard getting too close together. But again, this is a bit of rustiness where players haven't played a lot of football together. Look at this from Declan Rice. Now's the time he probably wants to shoot. The touch doesn't quite fall within his stride. He has to take another one. And by the time he's able to shoot, the angle's closed off. But again, this was the big, powerful running of Rice, and he was just stunning in this game. And again, towards the second half, we saw similar things from him. This went on throughout the whole game, but nice little back heel from Odegaard. And you can see Rice now. Big touch, power, dummies his man. That's where you want him to shoot, but he takes that extra touch and it's closed down. Corner to Arsenal, which we're not going to complain about. This was a few minutes later. Again, it's Hincapie, comes forward, wins that front-footed aggressively, gets Arsenal going forward. Here's Declan Rice. Calafiori, look at the outside of the foot pass from him, just effortless into Merino. And again, I mentioned Merino stitching the attack together. Here he is, cool, calm and composed, and Rice goes forward. I mentioned Madueke coming in field at times to draw that defender in. And at this point, Madueke's the man aggressively attacking the penalty spot. Here we go. Lovely cross from Declan Rice. And that ball is in the absolute pinnacle of danger. And it's a great, great block to get that ball away. But that is one that you look at and you think, this is exactly where Declan Rice is improving. That ball from Calafiori is delicious. But this is brilliant from Merino. And you see Rice now, a couple of years ago, he didn't have this in his game. He's criticised for not having a left foot, but look at the accuracy of this ball. Look at the pace on it. And Madueke is so close to getting it, and it's one of those 50-50 duels that if the defender's not there, Madueke's popping that into the back of the net. But ultimately, this was a really, really strong performance with a heavily rotated Arsenal and one where injuries once again raised their head. But rotation matters, and players looked sharper. Players looked ready to go. And when Bukayo, Saka and Eberechi Eze came on, it felt like the senior players had come on the pitch. We missed their presence, but we showed that we have players that are capable of rotating and really capable of winning us games. Winning these games and rotating is going to be a key theme over the next month. But we're going to leave it there. So please drop a comment. Tell me what you thought of the game. What stood out and how confident are you when we play Villa? Do you think that Saka, Eze, and Jurriën Timber have had enough rest to go in looking sharp in that? And tell me your thoughts about Declan Rice. Do you throw him back in there? Do you ask him to play another game? Or do you trust someone else in this time? Thank you for watching. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. Please check in after the Villa game. Thank you.
You're now listening to the Arsenal Therapy Podcast.